Welcome back, folks. Today, we're breaking down the action-packed, heart-wrenching, and yes, slightly controversial Season 2, finale of 1923. Buckle up because we're diving into every major twist, turn, and emotional gut punch from this epic conclusion. From Spencer's long-awaited return to the ranch's fiery showdown and those shocking final moments, we've got it all covered. And of course, we'll wrap this up with some critical thoughts on what worked, what didn't, and where this leaves the Dutton saga moving forward. Grab your hats, because this is going to be a wild ride. The calm before the storm. The finale kicks off with a tense calm before the storm. Everyone's waiting for Spencer's return. Will he make it in time? Can he save the ranch? But while the Dutton family braces for impact, the spotlight briefly shifts to Tiana. Now, Tiana's storyline in the finale is a mixed bag. She's captured after a chase, and while her trial lets her highlight the nightmare of her treatment, it feels like the writers rushed this moment. After everything she's endured, we expected more justice, more of her voice being heard. Instead, her scene ends almost as quickly as it begins. She rides off seeking a new home, but not before the show missed a big opportunity to explore deeper commentary on her character and arc. From there, we jump to Banner, who's already considering skipping town after getting a front row seat to Whitfield's sadistic cruelty. But Jacob, being his relentless self, makes sure Banner sees things through. The tension here is palpable. We start to feel the storm building for the ranch confrontation. The ranch showdown. All right, here's the big one. The ranch brawl we've all been waiting for. Banner's men finally storm in and chaos erupts. Gunshots pierce the air, ranchers scramble, and Kara steps up with her hunting rifle, reminding us yet again that she's an absolute badass. Side note, can we talk about how every Dutton seems born ready to defend their home? I mean, it's giving serious Tomb Raider vibes. Liz even steps into the fray to help, pulling her weight and showing why she's not just a side character. And just when it feels like the ranch is about to fall apart, who shows up? Spencer, with reinforcements and dual pistols blazing. It's a cinematic highlight, no doubt, but you know what's missing here? Stakes. We expected a more brutal cost for this fight. Sure, Jack's death is a big loss, but compared to the scale of the attack, it feels like a small ripple. Where's the true weight of this battle? Alex and Spencer's separate struggles. Now, this part of the finale really tugged at the heartstrings. Alex's survival struggle in the freezing wilderness wasn't just physically exhausting to watch, it was emotionally devastating. She's out there alone, frostbite creeping in, holding on to anything she can find for comfort. She grabs letters, a newspaper, and a lighter in one last desperate attempt to cling to life. The icy wind howls around her, and as the audience, you feel the loneliness, the fear, and that lingering question, can she really make it out of this alive? But here's where I found myself wondering, why didn't the writers give her more agency in this moment? Alex is resourceful. She's shown that time and time again. But her being stuck in this scenario, freezing to death because they ignored the gas station attendant or didn't prepare properly, feels forced. It's almost as if the show set her up to fail. Not because of who she is, but because they needed a major emotional blow for Spencer and the audience. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, a break in the bleakness. Spencer spots Alex from the train, and you can literally feel his heart stop. He leaps off the train, racing across the snow toward her. This moment was so beautifully shot, and it's one of the highlights of the finale. Their reunion, it's brief, it's emotional, and it's bittersweet. All that pain, all that separation, and here they are together again. But there's a cost. Alex's body is already giving out. She's frostbitten, frail, and in dire need of medical attention. The doctor on board warns Spencer that her condition is precarious, even pointing out the danger of improperly warming her up. It's such a delicate, heartbreaking sequence, and yet Spencer refuses to leave her side. That fierce love, the kind you'd expect from a Dutton, it hits hard here. When the train bypasses Livingston and heads straight for medical care, that tiny sliver of hope remains. Alex gives birth to a premature baby boy, and from the moment she names him John, you know exactly where this is going. She's pulling from the memory of Spencer's brother, keeping the legacy alive. The scene suggests a potential future for their family, a new start. But then, the reality of Alex's condition sinks in. The frostbite has gone too far. Amputation is her only chance. And this is where Alex makes the ultimate soul-crushing decision. She refuses to amputate. She chooses to hold her baby, to live her final moments on her own terms, rather than face what she believes would be a diminished existence as a mother. And while this decision makes sense for her character in some ways, it also left a lot of fans, myself included, asking, was this too cruel? Alex was built up as this strong, fiery spirit, someone who could weather any storm. Yet in the end, her life is cut short as a means of pushing Spencer's storyline forward. Was her arc really about her, or was it simply a stepping stone for Spencer's grief and eventual revenge? This is where the heartbreak really hits. The night after Alex names their child John and dies in Spencer's arms, it's gut-wrenching. The raw pain that pours out of Spencer in this moment is palpable, and his transformation after her death is immediate. He's no longer the man fighting to make it back to her. He becomes the man fighting in her name, for her memory. It fuels his decision to storm Whitfield's estate and burn it all to the ground. There's no denying the emotional impact of Alex's death. It's devastating, it's beautifully acted, and it does drive the story forward. But does it feel deserved? Honestly, I'm not so sure. After all the trials Alex endured this season, from the abusive ship captain to freezing in the wilderness and almost losing herself at every turn, this end seems harsh, even unnecessarily bleak. It turns a character who's been a bright light in Spencer's life into a tragic afterthought of his story, and that's hard to fully accept as a viewer. In many ways, Alex's arc is emblematic of the larger issue with this finale. It feels rushed, like there was so much more to explore, so many more layers to uncover, and that emotional impact, while undeniably powerful, also feels manipulative. The writers gave us just enough of her strength, her love, and her potential, only to take it away in a way that feels more like a plot device than a meaningful culmination of her story, Whitfield's fate. Now, if there's one thing the finale needed, it was Whitfield meeting his end. And credit where it's due, the scene itself delivers raw intensity. Spencer confronts the monster who caused so much suffering, forcing him to say Alex's name before putting him down. It's brutal, it's personal, but was it satisfying? I don't know. Should one of Whitfield's countless victims have played some part in this? Maybe. His death wraps things up, but it also feels like the show left an emotional card on the table here. The legacy of 1923, its connection to Yellowstone, and the road to 1944. If you thought the story of 1923 was intense, just wait until we move closer to the next chapter in the Dutton saga, 1944. While details about the upcoming series are still under wraps, the seeds planted in 1923 are already giving us a lot to think about. How do the events of this season connect to what comes next? And more importantly, what might the Duttons be up against in this new era? First off, we have Spencer's son, little John. His birth feels like the start of a new generation of Duttons that will carry us forward into the mid-20th century. By the time we hit 1944, John would be a grown man, likely taking on the mantle of ranch protector just like the generations before him. But the era of 1944 brings a whole new set of challenges. This would be right during World War II, and you have to wonder, will the Duttons once again find themselves swept up in global events, just as Spencer did in World War I? Could John or even some of Jack's children serve overseas? And what kind of impact might that war have on the Yellowstone Ranch and the family's stranglehold on their land? Speaking of Jack, by 1944, he'd likely take up the leadership role we saw Jacob holding in 1923. But Jack's a different kind of Dutton. He's headstrong, passionate, and more impulsive, which could lead to some fiery conflicts, both within the family and with new outside forces. Not to mention, we're now heading into an era of booming industrialization in America. The 1940s would mark a period where landowners like the Duttons would likely face even greater threats from expanding cities, railroads, or big corporations looking to take over their land. The battle for Yellowstone's survival would look drastically different, but just as fierce as the ones we've seen before. And then there's Tiana Rainwater's legacy. We still don't know exactly how her story intertwines with the Duttons, but considering how her fight against oppression echoes into Yellowstone, her descendants likely play a pivotal role in the events of 1944. Could we see the beginning of the Rainwater-Dutton ancestral conflict that carries all the way into the modern timeline? Or perhaps there's an alliance forming that we've yet to see unravel. Either way, 1944 could be the connective tissue between Tiana's fight and the more politically sophisticated battles over land rights we see with Thomas Rainwater in Yellowstone. And you know we have to talk about the larger Dutton legacy. The themes we saw in 1923 around family loyalty, sacrifice, and the price of survival? Yeah, those aren't going anywhere. If anything, they're likely to get even more complex as the Dutton family tree grows. Every generation builds on the choices of the last, and 1944 could really dig into how the decisions made by Jacob, Kara, and Spencer in 1923 ripple forward. For instance, what happens to the land Kara and Jacob fought so fiercely for as the world continues to modernize? Does the way they set up Yellowstone's future create new challenges for Jack, Wajit John, and the next generation? Think about it. Every time we solve one problem in the Dutton saga, two more seem to spring up. The world changes, but the Yellowstone Ranch stays the same. And it's through families like the Duttons that we get to see just how far people will go to hold on to their legacy. 1944 promises to pick up this theme and run with it. Will it be about consolidation of power? Or will it see the Duttons facing their first real cracks as a family? Whatever happens, one thing is for sure. 1944 is going to be yet another emotional, high-stakes chapter in this incredible family saga. It's a chance to see how the Yellowstone Ranch adapts to the challenges of the mid-20th century and how the family continues to define their legacy across decades. And if we've learned anything from 1923, it's that the Duttons never go down without a fight. What are your theories? How do you think 1923 ties into the upcoming 1944? What challenges do you see the Duttons facing next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I know this fandom has some incredible takes and I can't wait to read them. In the end, the finale leaves us with a bittersweet taste. Spencer's grief for Alex, the injustice Tiana's story barely escapes, and the family's long battle to save the ranch make for an emotional watch. But there were missteps. The Dutton saga has always thrived on its mix of raw emotion, complex storytelling, and rich character arcs. And while the finale had its moments of brilliance, it also felt rushed and frustrating, especially when it came to Alex and some missed opportunities with Tiana and Whitfield. As a whole, Season 2 of 1923 gave us gritty drama, thrilling action, and a deeper connection to the Dutton legacy. But it also struggled with pacing and resolving certain arcs in a satisfying way. If Taylor Sheridan is juggling too many projects, it might be worth slowing down to give this story the time it deserves. What did you think of the finale? Were you satisfied with how the pieces came together? Or are you as torn as I am? Hit the comments below and let's talk about it. So, is this the end for 1923 or just the beginning of something even bigger? Will Spencer become the new patriarch? And how will this all lead into 1944? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for all things Yellowstone every single week. Follow us TikTok at The Wrangler YT and Instagram at Official Wrangler.